Hey everybody, this is Erica, and I will be talking with you guys about my Unit 5 discussion post. And I have to let you know that I'm very angry with myself because I typed out this whole discussion post and it took forever. And then I went back and read over the instructions, and woo, it was supposed to be a video post. So this slightly frustrated, but it's okay. So if I look like I'm reading a lot, I'm putting this thing to use. Okay, so after watching Dr. Murphy talk with Christy and her two sons, Nick and Jim, I noticed a lot of the techniques and stuff that was described in our readings. Like, he used basically all of them. At the beginning and throughout the session, Dr. Murphy also explained that he wanted to learn about the family, and he planned on asking multiple questions to get to know them, determine what they wanted out of the therapy. So therefore, like the reading said, the clients were made to be the experts, not the therapist. They're experts of their own lives. So by explaining to him how they see the challenges and I guess the issues they're going through, he could get a better understanding of that. Also, he let them talk about what they wanted out of therapy. He didn't, I guess, draw any conclusions and present it to them like, this is what I think you guys are going through and you need to change to make things better and come up with solutions. So instead he asked them, what would you guys like to focus on, and we can move forward from there. There was a clear opening, statements of complaints, and a discussion of exemptions. For example, the complaints were not turning in homework and wanting to have less fighting. Exception discussions occurred a few times. For example, when Nick described how if he did his homework, how he think his teacher would treat him and it would be better, and she would treat him normal like the other kids and he would have a better day. Dr. Murphy also utilized deconstruction about how they could work together to make this homework thing not as much of a big deal. He also used punctuation when talking about how Nick said he hardly turned in homework. He kind of repeated hardly, kind of like trying to see where he was coming from to just kind of make it seem like he was paying attention to what he was saying and wanted to know what he meant by that. Change talk was used almost constantly. For example, when he asked Christy about what her day would be like if the boys turned in their homework and she didn't have to worry about helping them work on it in the evening, which was also can be looked at as a miracle question. He also used circular questions when asking Jim and Nick asking Jim how Nick's kind of like plays out his day when it comes to things that block him from doing homework, and what he thinks Nick could do to get his homework finished instead of those other things. He also used scaling questions when he asked the family how counseling was helping with the boys' cleanliness. For example, he used a scale of 1 to 100, and he kind of used that circular questioning thing whenever he asked Nick how he thought his mom would rank it, and then his mom how she thought Nick would rank it. And they were very contradictory, and he kind of used some humor between that as well. Dr. Murphy also took notes, and he used coping questions when asking Christy how she's managing as a single mom. He also used normalization when he talked about the fact that Nick doesn't like his homework because not many other people like to do homework either, and he kind of made it, I guess, more relatable. And it worked because Nick really listened, like, oh, did you not like doing homework either? And I bet your mom didn't like doing homework. Also, they used, he took a break. He also used compliments. For example, whenever the family does their rituals at night and also their pizza weekends and watching movies, he complimented them for that. Like, not many families do that nowadays, so it's really good that you guys are doing that as a family, and he hopes that they would keep up with that. He also assigned the family with some homeworks, such as, like the reading said, sessions tasks, such as using the Post-it note ideas, with the homework, creating new rituals, and maintaining the rituals they're currently doing. I think if this session was more so along the lines of narrative therapy, that Jim and Nick would have had more time to talk. You could kind of tell in the session that Nick really wanted to just kind of keep talking, and the therapist kind of had to keep calming him down and letting Jim talk. I think he, I don't know, I guess I understand the solution-focused therapy better than I do the narrative-focused therapy. Also feel like the session would have been more focused around problems caused by the homework if it was narrative, rather than if the homework was actually completed and what it would look like later. Some of the similarities would include the use of tracking, normalizing, scaling, deconstruction, note-taking, and a session break. Question number 3. I would think most of the social and advocacy issues faced by the family would be related to how Christy's a single mother. To determine the extent of these issues, I would collaborate with Kim, who is their other counselor, with the permission of the clients about the relationship of the family with the boy's father. It feels as if Christy would benefit from a single mother support group, and I also enjoy the idea of getting Christy's ex-husband involved in a few therapy sessions to benefit the relationship between him and his sons. However, I'd want to make sure it was appropriate before bringing up the possibility with the family, because it really seemed like the boys still want and desire that relationship with their fathers, but Christy is kind of she's not very comfortable with it, talking about it. Lastly, from the book asking about power distributions with my family, mine in my household is very complicating. My mom and I would constantly alternate in power, with my sisters both stayed below the both of us. When my mom was around and wanted to be a mother, she was usually the one in power. However, when she wasn't around, which was a majority of the time, I was the person who was caring for my sisters, getting them ready for school, making sure that they had food. And to this day, I'm still the person that they call if they have any questions or if they just need some type of advice. When my mom was around and I didn't agree with what she was doing, which was very often, we would kind of get in these power conflicts, which would end in huge arguments, and they were just terrible. But I don't know, I guess that's kind of how I look at it now. If we were at my grandparents' house, which is kind of more stable, for an example, my grandpa is at the top. So I would say in my personal family household with my mom and my 2 sisters, gender conflicts really weren't, gender assignments weren't really prevalent because it was just females. But at my grandparents' house, my grandpa was always at the top. He was the main provider, and my grandma stayed home and looked after the grandkids and made sure the house was clean and whatnot. Do I think conflicts exist now? Yes. Not so much with me involved because I'm gone, but my youngest sister is starting to challenge my middle sister. They kind of throw the sass back and forth, so I don't really have to deal with that much since I'm gone, but I get phone calls every once in a while, but it's interesting. A bunch of girls, it's a lot of estrogen, so that's all I got. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.